So if you out there, you're preparing for the exam, definitely come through. If you need a invite link to our community on Discord, please find me on LinkedIn. Also follow also follow Talawa Cyber on LinkedIn, and you'll be able to find a invite link there as well. All right, so as we always do, 30 questions take us to an hour. And that's made possible through our partner at Pocket Prep. Um, so we're able to utilize their test bank, and provide this resource for each and every one of you. All right, so let me go ahead and get this going. Share my screen. We'll get started. All right, and let me change my layout a bit. All right.
There you go. Appreciate it.
Yep. I was already ahead of you. All right, let's go. All right, question one. All right, Zach works with the Office of the Chief Information Security Officer, or the CISO. The office has been inquiring about the best path to improve its software development capabilities. Which of the following is a software development approach that incorporates automated cybersecurity checks into its CI/CD pipeline automation?
DevSecOps,
Yeah, I'm gonna say DevSecOps. Because Stride is like a
threat modeling.
threat modeling, right? Um, Pasta is. I know they're kind of close, but I know Stride is threat modeling.
Well, both of them threat modeling, Stride and Pasta. It's just the developer one. I think Microsoft owns Stride and Pasta is open source, something like that.
Right. Let me see. Yeah, okay, yeah. Process for attack simulation and threat analysis. Yeah, threat modeling methodologies for Pasta, Stride. Yeah, as you said, right. Yeah, they both are threat modeling methodologies. Um, yeah, AppSec that just focuses more generally uh, securing software applications. Um, since the question mentions automation and CI/CD, that's why DevSecOps is the best answer here. All right, off to a good start. All right, what option is least likely to protect an interface? Let's say Delta.
I think we had this one last time. I don't know. Whatever you.
Well, all right. So here's my rationale: input validation, and then allowing a variety of input seems to clash, in my view, because with input validation, you're only allowing a certain uh, maybe a certain parameter of values within a field, where what Delta is saying, you could just do whatever the hell you want, and that's not going to be the case. That's where it opens up to um, attacks or anything like that. I think store procedures also um, helps to protect the interface. Now I get lost with fuzzing now, because fuzzing.
Fuzzing is the same thing as input validation. It's just randomly generated characters forced into an input field to see how it responds.
But then wouldn't uh, right? I get you, but wouldn't that be more of like a testing?
It
I
is.
guess.
It
Yeah.
is. But the only thing I'm caught up on is the interface. So it's kind of throwing me off. Are we talking about input validation or are we talking about interface? Interface can be, I don't know, how two systems talk to each other. That's what's kind of throwing me. So I'm good either way. I don't want to get
Yeah. All right.
hung up on
Well,
it.
I'm gonna go with Delta, and I'm gonna roll the dice and see.
There
Yep.
you go.
Yeah. So yeah, allowing a variety of input could be problematic. It will increase troubleshooting needs and greatly increase security risk. So to be specific, you wouldn't want to allow an apostrophe for the sake of variety and allow users to do what they want for a password, as it could open up your server to a structured query language or SQL attack if you aren't careful. All right, which of the following is a media sharing protocol used to send and receive voice and video communications over a network using Internet Protocol or IP?
I mean, VoIP, like all your Cisco phones and teleconferencing materials.
This says
Oh, that's
voice
voice over
and
IP.
video.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it seemed like SIP be the best one there, including video.
So, real-time transport protocol. What will be parameters for that?
Mm, I don't know. Is that what
Oh
you're
wow.
thinking? RTP?
I was looking at that, and then also too, I see media exchange protocol because the media seems to just encapsulate all the that seems like it would just take care of video and voice for media. Um, but to be honest, I haven't seen that too much though.
I just think it's SIP. I know SIP just seemed like it was. I don't know. I'll study that quite a bit, but I could be wrong.
SIP I'm more familiar with. Um, yeah, I don't. Yeah, so yeah, I would eliminate Delta. I don't think because
Yeah,
it
because
only
that's a
answers
voice
one
only.
part.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what I
you want
think.
voice and video.
Yeah, 50-50 between RTP and SIP, but I lean towards the SIP.
All right, I'm gonna go with SIP.
Oh,
Ah,
you're right.
that was
Sorry.
RTP. Yeah, something my gut was saying it was RTP. Yeah, so RTP carries immediate packets for voice and video communications over an IP network. RTP settings are negotiated between endpoints by session initiation protocol. So there is a relation there.
Hmm.
Media packets can be encrypted by using the Secure Real-Time Transfer Protocol (SRTP). Um, so when SRTP is used, keys are generally exchanged by the SIP protocol. So SIP is used
Oh.
for signaling. It doesn't carry the actual media between endpoints.
Oh, okay.
All right. When discussing risk analysis, which of the following best describes weakness?
Wouldn't that be vulnerability?
Yeah, yeah. Vulnerability is um, that's weakness. All right. Which of the following is known as the first mathematical model of a multi-level security policy?
Mm, first mathematical.
This is a different way to ask this question for this.
Mm, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
normally the Bell Lipovica, but I don't know. Yeah,
it's saying the first one. I that I don't know.
yeah, I
uh,
don't know either.
I'm gonna go with Clark Wilson.
Okay.
Again, this is a complete guess, and it wasn't. Jeez.
I said it's
um.
normally Bell Lipovica, man. It always, yeah, it always.
So, well, I mean, I had no clue which one came first. I didn't know the historical meaning behind these, but yeah. So Bell LaPadula was the first mathematical model of a multi-level security policy. The concept of MLS is the idea that a system would have multiple levels of classification in the same system. Access control philosophies can be organized into models that define approaches to security issues. The Take Grant model, the Bell Padula model, and the Biba model are examples of different access control models. And for what it's worth, yeah, Bella Padula was released in 1976 by the U.S. government for better confidentiality. All right, which of these is an example of a preventive administrative control?
I want to be pre-employment because it hit both wickets, admin and preventive.
Yeah, you're preventing.
Yeah, say this is a
Um,
criminal. Oh no, we shouldn't hire this criminal, and we
right.
prevent them from stealing our secrets.
Yeah, because the rest of these, they would already be in.
Yeah. Well, badge is technical. Password and biometric is pretty much technical as well. Security guards is physical. So technical, physical. That's the only one I see that would be administrative. Would be A.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm saying is like, if you got a badge or a swipe, a swipe card, that means you already got past the background check. Like you're already in.
Yeah.
So it's not really much to prevent if they're already in the system now. But yeah, pre-employment background checks. All right, when deleting a file is not enough to satisfy an organization's data destruction policy, what best ensures the data cannot be restored, but the media can be reused?
It wouldn't be destruction.
No, it should
I
be
think purging is the strongest
purging.
one.
Yeah, erasing is not enough. Clearing,
I think clearance is like, uh, and then just like writing all ones or all zeros or something.
yeah, yeah. So purging is defined by NIST SP 800 dash 88 as applying the physical or logical techniques that render target data recovery infeasible using state of the art laboratory techniques. Yeah, erasing another way of saying deleting. Clearing is defined as the application of logical techniques to sanitize data in all user addressable storage locations for protection against simple non-invasive data recovery techniques. And that's typically applied through the standard read and write commands to the storage device, such as rewriting a new value or using a menu option to reset the device to factory state. Destruction is the most secure method. However, it destroys the media, so it can't be reused. All right, what is the recommended height of a security fence?
I think it's 8 feet. You got to be
Well, I think
taller
it's
than
eight.
a man.
I think it's 8 feet. Yeah, yeah, at least eight. Now, you know, if we got folks like Victor Wembanyama, I mean, he's pretty close. So we might
You
we
do a
might
cartwheel over the fence.
we might need to adjust this. We might need to go to the 10 feet at least. I don't know. All right. Ralph is performing a security assessment for management and is using a network mapping tool to discover all devices on a network. Runs a scan with 192.168.0.0/16 as a target. What range of usable internet protocol addresses will this scan?
Mhm. 16. So you're splitting the network in half. No.
No, it's not. It's not alpha. What range?
I
I'm looking at.
I think
Uh,
it's D because /16 they give you 16,000 to the two. Let me see. I think it's where my calculator at. Let me see. 2 to the 16th. Oh, that ain't right. Two. Oh, that ain't what I want.
I
Two. Two.
I was looking at Charlie.
Charlie.
I could be wrong, but
So it should give you
so sorry,
a
go ahead.
/16. A /16 should give you 65,536 available IP addresses. So I, 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 I would think it would be. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I would think it would be D because 192.168.0.0 will be your network address, and then
Hmm.
and it will start. Your first IP address should be .1, and it should go all the way up to 254. And your broadcast address will be 192.168.255.255 will be your broadcast. I think it's D. I could be wrong, but for /16, right?
/16.
Yeah, you should get 65,536 IP addresses.
Yeah, you're correct, sir. All right. Yeah. So a network mapping tool scan can be instructed to use a valid internet protocol range as a target to ensure it scans the entire network. Request for comments in 1918 reserves the following IPv4 addresses for private networks. So that's what they have here. But so I think the one we just went over, the last one, 192.168.0.0/16 addresses. So that's um so you got the 0 through the 255.255. All right. Ultimately, who is accountable for the security of a company or organization?
Anytime I say ultimate, it's usually senior management.
Yeah, senior management. All right. A process is a program loaded in memory. What best describes what a thread is?
In a thread of stringer processes.
Yeah, I think this is Delta.
Oh, instruction set. Oh,
Wow.
I'm sorry.
No, I thought it was Delta too. That was my first choice. So a thread is an individual instruction set that must be worked on by the CPU. Threads can execute in parallel with other threads that are part of the same parent process. This is known as multi-threading. Threads are dynamically built and destroyed by the parent process. A process is a program loaded in memory.
Mm, all right.
All right. Interpreting port scans results requires knowledge of some common transmission control protocol or TCP ports, which of the following is an incorrect pairing of port number and protocol.
Telnet should be 21. Is Telnet 21? I think no, Telnet 23.
Telnet's
23.
23,
21 is FTP or something. Yeah,
FTP. Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, FTP 21, 22 SSH. Telnet's 23. Um, these are very good ones to definitely to know. Well, it's critical, I would say, because these are going to come up quite a bit. Not even just for CISSP, but especially for Security Plus, Network Plus for sure. Um, definitely want to know these ports at the minimum. All right, which of the following is an example of full duplex communication?
Send and
Ce-
receive.
A cellular phone. Law
Cellular phone.
enforcement is half duplex because you gotta hold the receiver.
Yeah, it should be cell phone.
Intercom is only simplex because there's only one way. You can't respond back. Network hub doesn't even. I don't even see how that even fits. Network hub is an example of a network device that uses half duplex communications. I'm trying to think of an example of that though. A network.
Of what?
So it said, yeah, they said a network hub is a half duplex communication, but I'm trying to think of what Cause like I know a cell phone. That's an example of full duplex. Like a walkie-talkie, law enforcement radio. That's half duplex because you gotta hold the receiver in order to send your voice back and forth. I just don't I just don't understand network hub. Maybe.
Remember, network hub is a repeater. It's not a switch
Uh, okay,
because it broadcasts one way.
gotcha. All right. All right. Francisco and his team are role playing a disaster recovery scenario to test their readiness to respond. Our moderator knows the full scope of the disaster, and each team member provides suggestions for responding to the scenario. What type of test or exercise is this?
Role play normally indicates tabletop.
Yeah. 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 Tabletop, also known as a structured walkthrough, tests a team's readiness to respond to an event. All right. Which of the following does not involve a physical attack on a smart card?
Physical attack.
Does not involve a physical attack.
Oh gosh,
Would it be logic bomb?
I'm
Because
thinking that, but that's
a
all I was
logic
thinking.
bomb, it doesn't have to involve a smart card. It can,
It's just a set of instructions that is
right.
triggered by external or some type of
Yeah, like
trigger.
you can click a PDF that they leave out, and it does
Yeah.
something. It carries out, like you said, like a set of instructions, and
Yeah.
so it doesn't necessarily mean it's doing anything to do have anything to do with a smart card, though.
Mm-mm. I know. Yeah. A, B, and D sound like a good choice. That it's actually a physical attack. I think it's. I think it's. I think it's C. I think it's.
Yeah. Yeah, physical attack on a smart card occurs when physical conditions are altered or analyzed to gain unauthorized access. Yeah, a logic bomb is a piece of malicious software that runs when a condition is met. So, an example of a logic bomb is when an employee programs actions into a custom built application that are triggered if the creator is terminated from the company. Well, I'll read this and then I'll scroll down. All right. An employee receives a suspicious email containing a link to what appears to be files pertaining to an upcoming workplace education training seminar. Curious and eager to complete the training as soon as possible, the employee clicks the link to the files within the email. Immediately after, the employee downloads the files and notices multiple command prompt windows flash onto the screen and quickly disappear. Oh, it's a wrap. The documents in these files appear to be workplace training, so the employee doesn't think anything of it. A few weeks later, another company began a new line of food products that appeared to have very similar ingredients to some of the foods that have existed at the employee's organization for years. So, what practice would most likely have prevented this issue from occurring?
Mm,
Charlie Delta, you could eliminate those.
it says
I'm
what
looking at
practice would most
Patrick
likely.
Bravo, right? Proper asset handling and management.
Mm, what practice would most likely have prevented this issue from happening? Yeah, I would agree because it should have been like compartmentalized. If you get used to proprietary information or something, it wasn't properly segmented or quarantined.
Mm,
So I agree. I think it's B.
yeah. Yeah, so proper asset handling management involves not only educating anyone involved in the process, but also setting up safety mechanisms as well. So, although this is a clear indicator of a lack of security training on behalf of the employee, it's equally important to know that even the most trained personnel make mistakes sometimes. So, to ultimately prevent this from happening, the proprietary information should not have been stored or accessible from the same network employees operate on for normal activities. All right. An organization has hard drives and servers storing customer data. The organization wants to ensure data is deleted as soon as possible once customers no longer use their services. Unsure of when it would be acceptable to delete such data, what should the organization do as a best business practice?
B. You should be looking at your retention policy. Actually, I'll say B.
Um,
Oh, you know
so, I,
what? It's
so I
probably
was looking
A.
at
It's probably A. Right? User agreement. Like, yeah, I think it's A.
reference user agreements and government regulations.
It said unsure of when it will be acceptable to delete such data. What should the organization do as best practice?
So, I was kind of looking away from those. I was actually looking at Delta. So, you delete it. Well, but I don't know if you delete the data, you will um, prevent them from being able to access the account, but I don't think you would delete the data. You at least archive it or something because it could be still valuable data that you would need as a business, especially with whatever they were working on.
Well, not only that, and you have external uh, policies that like GDPR or PII or HIPAA that requires you to maintain certain records for a while.
Yeah, right. So
Financial
your retention
regulations.
policy, you're talking about
That's why I'm torn between A and B. But it got to be a keyword that we're not pinging on.
unsure of when it should be acceptable.
Once the customer no longer uses their service. See, that's what's driving me. That's why I switched my answer. Because it says the organization wants to ensure data is deleted as soon as possible once the customer no longer uses their services. So that's why I was leaning towards A over B because it seemed like it's driving to some type of first and third party agreement.
Hmm. Uh,
So it's kind of like Meta and Instagram. You sign that data agreement that they can hold it for so long based on their user agreement.
and I think, well, and then you have government regulations. I mean, that's going to outweigh
It's gonna trump
organization. I
everything.
mean, organization policy is going to derive from government regulations, right? Like the the government, an organization is going to interpret, or they're going to derive their policies from a higher a hierarching, regulation above them.
Well, to a certain
Um,
extent, because your governmental regulations are the baseline, a minimum. You can't go beyond this floor, but you can always add additional user agreements. Like if the government said you have to keep this for uh 7 years, then you can't go and say, well, I can keep it for 8 years. You see
right,
what I'm
you can't go
saying?
above it.
Right.
Um,
That's what I think is A.
yeah, I'm gonna go with A. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the organization should reference its user agreements along with government regulations. Um, so, for example, it may want to delete the data when it's no longer needed. This will allow the EU GDPR Article 5, which states that data is to be retained only for the amount of time it is required. Additionally, this would allow the organization to avoid legal issues in the future if that same data was involved in a crime, but the data was no longer stored with them. So yeah, and I think you mentioned that too. You talk about GDPR, like, but yeah, that's a big one. You just, I think the main thing is that you want to make sure that you stay in a line to, like I said, that hierarchy regulation. It doesn't have to be, verbatim matching that, but whatever the organization policy is, it has to have some sort of alignment to the hierarchy
Right.
regulation, so they
I
stay
think
in
the key
compliance.
word is customer data because I couldn't figure out if it was A or B, but when I saw line locked in on customer data, I was like, it has to be like user agreement.
Hmm. Yeah. All right. A corporation has hired Zach as its new information security after discovering a potentially serious breach. During his initial assessment, Zach finds that modifications to the information technology environment are not being properly controlled. Which management control would most likely reduce the risks associated with these modifications?
See a formal change management process.
Uh, which management control would most likely reduce the risks associated with these? Oh yeah. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, you just can't just go all willy nilly and just change it whatever you want, and then you know.
Some organizations do.
Well, and that's why they get in trouble. That's why you see them on the
Yeah,
news.
them startups, boy, they be wrecking
Right.
stuff, boy.
Gotta clean that up. All right. In non-governmental governmental organizations, which type of information would be least likely to be classified as sensitive?
Least likely.
Contacts, business contacts,
Yeah.
financial. You forget that. Board meeting minutes can be sensitive. Um, Medical for sure. Yeah. I mean, business contacts. I mean, people have business cards, so
Yeah, that fall
that's
under PII, not under sensitive.
yeah. Yeah, they're not classified as sensitive because they're often publicly available or shared widely for business purposes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the same thing as think about people who have their like LinkedIn. I mean, certain people may have their profiles locked out to a certain extent, but still, I mean, essentially, you're still putting that out for the public. At the minimum, like your name and maybe a generalization of maybe or the sector like where you work, but yeah, I kind of always kind of tie that back to those old school business cards. If people are handing that out, I don't think that should be classified as sensitive. Um, which of the following is not a valid phase of a penetration test?
Well, it shouldn't be exploitation. I hope you're not exploiting for a pen test. You should report. You should gather information. You should provide lessons learned, but do no harm unless that's in your SOW.
Right. Um, but but a penetration says, do they do the lessons learned, or is that more for the organization after they get the report from the pen test?
Well, you're just asking the phases, right?
Right. But so again, so the pen tester is conducting the test, right? They're giving the results, reporting. Are they staying around to do the lessons learned too? That's why I feel that's more of the organization that's receiving the pen test results.
I just never seen a pen test that in their statement of work said, "Hey, exploit these vulnerabilities." You supposed to report them. Was you? Can you imagine the liability for that? You go blow up somebody's database because you're exploiting it.
Well, uh, all right. So hear me out. So I guess when I see that, because isn't essentially what you're doing with the pen test? You are.
You identify weakness, vulnerabilities, but
Yeah,
no
but
one's
then
telling you to go.
but don't they have to actually carry it out to say, hey, I did this and this is what I was able to find this vulnerability because I was able to get into this area.
Well, I've
I mean, I could be
supervised some
looking at
pen
it
tests. The,
differently.
the thing is, I've never seen a statement of work saying, "Hey, you are authorized to blow up a vulnerability and cause harm to my organization." If you get to a point and say, "Oh, I see a possible CVE 2026-1456," then you say, "Okay, I'm gonna point this in the report." But to exploit it, I think that's kind of crazy. But I could be wrong. But
See, all right, so I'm gonna put this out there. I'm not a pen tester, so I could just be, talking crazy right now. But I thought that with exploitation, there, of course, within the control sense of what they're, PETA is allowed to do. But I thought that's I thought that was part of it, where they try to get a full understanding, like so, like if an attacker was really doing something. I mean, so I don't know. I guess. All right, let's see. I'm still kind of halfway thinking this lessons
well,
learned.
pick your answer. I mean, pick your.
All right, all right. Yeah. And again, I could be wrong too, but again, but like for me, I just I just don't see lessons learned as part of
No, you're right. I just looked it up. It
pet.
says reconnaissance, scanning, vulnerability, exploitation, and reporting. So I guess lesson learned is not in there. So you're probably right.
Yeah. Because that's my thing is like if they don't do the actual exploitation and again within that control sense of what they're allowed to do that's agreed upon, so if they go over that, then yes, as you mentioned, yes, that they'll be held liable because they did more than what they were allowed to do. But I still think they have to actually carry it out to show this is a confirmed vulnerability. I was able to access this part of your network by doing this, and these are the steps I took, and that's part of the reporting. So that way, said company, can now take those steps to harden their systems. But if they don't do the exploitation, then what's the point of the pen test? That was just my rationale.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but the pen test is not sticking around. I mean, they don't work for them. I mean, not to that sense. They're not doing lessons learned presentations with them. Uh, they get the cut the check and then they're out of there. All right. Which of the following networks typically cover broad geographic and political boundaries?
Would it be Wayne?
WAN, yeah, because Delta's metropolitan, uh, Bravo's like personal, so like your Bluetooth, so no, and LAN is local, like within the building. Yeah. All right. Gaetan works for a large pharmaceutical company as their information security manager. Someone has reported that it appears there has been a war driving attack against them. Which of the following explains war driving? Delta.
Yeah. Scanning wireless signals.
Yeah, that was a layup. All right. Of the following, which encryption method most likely provides end-to-end encryption?
End to end. Wouldn't it be SSH?
Yeah, I was looking at Bravo. Yeah. Yeah, secure shell provides end-to-end encryption. And exchange keys using the Diffie-Hellman algorithm. The encryption is negotiated between the client and server and does not rely on lower layer encryption methods to protect the payload. So 802.1 AE and Wi-Fi protected access only provide hop by hop or link encryption. Layer 2 tunneling protocol is a tunneling protocol that only provides authentication. Encryption can be added to L2TP through the use of Internet Protocol Security or IPsec. All right, Acme Incorporated is planning a recovery site intended to strike a balance between cost and speed. That is, they are not selecting the cheapest to recover or the uh, s- fastest to recover option. Which of the following does this best describe?
Warm site.
Yeah. I got thrown off with that last sentence. Yeah. So cheapest to recover. They're not selecting the cheapest to recover, so that'll be cold, or the fastest, that'll be hot. So yeah. So that should be one. And passive doesn't exist. Yeah. Passive site is not a common term for describing a recovery site. All right. Which of the following best describes clear box testing? Uh,
I mean, you get all the information.
oh, so that should be
Charlie.
full knowledge of a network. Yeah, Delta would be like gray box. You have partial knowledge. We got gray box. Oh, because they changed the name from white box and black box. Okay, I was trying to figure out clear. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, it's along the lines of whitelisting and blacklisting,
Yeah.
not to offend certain demographics.
Hey man, it's too late. We already offended, bro. Just keep it going. Um, Acme Corporation has just recovered the critical computer systems from a major fire in their data center. However, it will change the way the business operates for years to come. Which plan will likely which plan will likely be most useful at this point?
Maybe BCP, unless they're trying to trick us with contingency plan, but I think that's just a
They will change the way
distractor.
the business operates for years to come. Which plan most likely be used? So okay, so they just recovered the critical systems from a major fire. However, it's going to change the way the business operates for years to come. What will be most useful at this point?
Yeah. My thinking is disaster recovery is like short term. You kind of toss that out. They're looking more long term. I think contingency planning is just a distractor, and emergency response is also short term. So I think
Yeah,
only long term is business continuity.
yeah, Charlie, business continuity plan. Yeah, they nearly got you with with the fire and thing as a disaster. I can see where some people may get that wrong for sure. Um, yeah, so the BCP deals with both preparing for a disaster and aiding after a disaster has occurred. So the primary goal of a BCP is to reduce disaster-related risk to an acceptable level. A BCP is broader than a disaster recovery plan and is focused on the business as a whole, not just IT equipment. All right, which of the following solutions is designed to execute malware in an environment where it can do no damage and the organization can learn about its capabilities? Should be
Mm,
sandbox.
is it or is it honeypot? Which one? An environment where you can do no damage and organization can learn.
Yeah, honeypot. You're watching an attacker do kind of watching what they do, how they carry
Yeah,
out an attack
yeah.
on
I
a
think
fake
sandbox is the
network.
right answer. Yeah,
Um, Sandbox, you're actually executing the malware, so you're in a controlled environment. This should be sandbox.
yeah, I agree. I think the key word was that you're executing and not
Hmm.
like the attacker.
Right. And honeypot and honeynet, there's a bit of deception involved in
Yeah,
that. So there's no deception needed because you're controlling. You're pretty much running a glorified experiment. So with a sandbox. Um, which of the following is least likely to be included in the phases of a penetration test? Didn't we just have this?
yeah. It's like include the
Uh,
phases. Oh.
well, okay. There's no lessons learned in this one. All right.
So exploitation, yeah, yeah. Well, least likely to be included. Oh, I said the least likely to be included.
Yeah. So as we know from the previously, it is included.
Yeah.
So reconnaissance, it is.
I think it's vulnerability remediation because
Yeah, you're
that's
not
not
doing that.
that's the organization responsibility.
Right. Probing, that's part of the test. I mean,
Yeah, it's part of
scanning, probing.
reconnaissance, right? Yeah.
Yeah, more interactive than the discovery phase. This is when a pen tester scans down and scans hosts and ports on the network to determine how a network is structured and what services are being used.
And map.
Of the following, which best describes an asynchronous token device?
Asynchronous. I would say D. Because a regular intervals, you need like an NTP, which is pretty much syncing to something, NTP server or something. So I'll throw that out.
You say you're going with Bravo?
I said D.
Oh, D. Device generates a one-time password using a challenge response mechanism. All right. So type three authentication as biometrics. Uh, a device that generates a one-time password at regular intervals.
Yeah. B is something you know. C is binary. And then so it's left between A and D. If you're using a interval, it has to be connected to some type of syncing device, usually an NTP, network timing protocol server. So that will sync it up. So we're
Right.
looking at asynchronous. This is dependent on somebody's actions, which makes it non-synchronous or asynchronous.
Would it be safe to say it's almost on demand with asynchronous? Meaning, so as you just described, so for alpha, that's going to be more likely connected to NTP as it's going to run at regular intervals, like every 30 seconds, it's generating a new password,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
With delta, it is only going to show up when there's some sort of initiation from the human saying, okay, I'm trying to log in, I need to enter this token. So uh then that's the time maybe the device will produce a password or a code because it's
Yeah.
being prompted.
I
um
think D is like a capture, right? Is D along the lines of a capture? Vice like a TOTP with time on.
I don't know if delta would be a capture though.
I'm just trying to find an example of what it would be to be asynchronous.
I'm gonna go with this.
Ooh.
Yeah, an asynchronous token device generates a one-time password to use a challenge response. So, example could be if a workstation displayed a numerical challenge value, the user will then enter the value into the token. The token uses this value to generate a new response that a user enters into the workstation. Yeah. So if you have, so let's say, you have MFA set up on your, um, like for your Amazon account, right? And you're using maybe one of your mobile devices, mobile applications. I'm just throwing out a name like Bitwarden. So you're using Bitwarden. You have it synced up with Amazon to log into the account. So yeah, you enter your username and password into Amazon. All right. that checks out, and now you got to enter the code from your Bitwarden token device. So then you go to Bitwarden, you check it for Amazon because you already scanned and you got it set up. So you go to Amazon, you see but then
That's a,
that changes after like 10 seconds or 30 seconds.
what you
So I don't
described
know.
sound like a type two. That sounds like something you have.
Trying to think of what's a
If
better.
you got to use a phone or some type of device that's in your physical possession, then that's type two. That's why I think it was
Yeah,
like capture that you have to uh, challenge something.
you could be right. I have to look it up. Yeah, now I'm thinking about it. All right. All right. Well, last question. Which of the following is not a status that network mapper or nmap will output after a scan is complete?
Full, because open, close, and filtered are your three states for Nmap.
Okay. Yeah. Full is not a status that is output by a network mapper or scan. The following are the outputs of an nmap scan. So you have open. Yeah. Port is open, accepting connections. Closed. Port is accessible but not accepting connections. Filtered, unable to determine if the port is open or closed due to a firewall. Oh, there we go. I'm curious what the three were. So I know my weakness right now, as far as domains, is domain four. Um, yeah, that's my weakest domain right now that I'm trying to shore up. Um,
You're
but yeah,
doing
but
pretty.
this
You're doing
one,
well.
well, thank you. I received that. Thank you. But yeah, just when I'm doing like my own personal study, and that's like when I'm checking the scores, and not just Pocket Prep, like other, you know, uh, banks that I use as well. Yeah, yeah. The common network security is it's not I'm not bombing it, but it's definitely lower than my other domains. So that's an area I'm trying to get the scores up higher. Um, yeah, Bella Padula. Yeah, but also this question too. I mean, asking the historical which one's created first. I don't. I guess they may ask that, but I don't know.
My personal rule of thumb with that question, if I don't know the answer, it's gonna be.
Bella Pad.
It's like it's always the answer, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's just me.
I barely even know what Clark Wilson. Oh yeah, Clark Wilson does integrity.
Yeah, I was to say Clark Wilson Terry. That and Bieber. Clark
Yeah,
Wilson
Biba I
and
know.
Bieber.
Biba I know is integrity for sure. Um, and Brewer Nash, that's confidentiality.
Yeah.
And this was about threads. Yeah, and that's an individual instruction set. Okay.
Yeah. It went on x86 on us.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right. Well, uh,
Pretty
another good
awesome.
session. Um, yeah, I'm getting there, man. Cause I mean, my confidence is definitely there. I do feel better, I don't know if I don't know if you notice this too. Like, I try to do as we go through these questions. I try to provide an example. I mean, that's more so like for me to show that okay, I know like what this is, or I'm able to kind of relate it to something. Um, so I notice I'm doing more of that. So that's kind of letting me know. That's kind of my metric saying, okay, I know this. Or if the, I mean, there are questions when I come to me like I have no clue. So that kind of tells me, okay, that's the area I need to study up on more. But if I can explain it to a certain extent or have an idea, kind of, work my way around it, then I feel I'm in a good spot. So
But the thing is, you're never going to know every answer. It's just too much material to
yeah,
cover. It's just so much material. I mean, I think the biggest part is just getting your confidence up, but never get to the point you're trying to be perfect because you're just never going to learn everything. It's just too much. I mean, I think I went through 4,000 questions before I even took the test. I'm just never
I
going to know.
I think I'm approaching that if I haven't gone over that by now. But also at the same time too. Well, so let me ask you this: like uh, as a how yeah how consistent were you? Like were you still like straight up drilling, doing questions for maybe 2 months straight, or was it like a break in between? Like, kind of for me, there's been a drop off at times. So I think that's what hurts me too. Like I wasn't always. Um,
I only studied for like 2 months, but I came right off the CCSP. I was like, well, hell, that wasn't too bad.
oh
Let
yeah,
me
you
try
took you took that you
CISSP.
took that first, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's like okay. So I don't know, a month, 2 months. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good. So
That
yeah,
yeah, because I've heard people say that like they I don't know if it's right to say that they complement each other, but there is some
a lot of overlap.
you're right, yeah. There's like overlap between the two, so it kind of helps. Now I don't I think there's still maybe debate on which one you should take first when it comes between the two, but I know I've heard that yeah, that's not the first time I've heard that basically. So
Well, if you're in cloud, you should take CCSP first. But if you're in CISSP, you just general security, then I would take CISSP. I mean, you think if you work with cloud every day, then it should be almost like second nature to you, right? So yeah, that's why I say if you work in a cloud environment, do CCSP first. But if not, then go ahead and go CISSP.
okay, good stuff. All right, well that's a wrap. Another successful outing tonight. Uh, we'll be doing this again, but not live. We'll be doing we're running another CISSP session, but within the command line on Discord. So again, if you need an invite link, just reach out to me. Find me on LinkedIn. I'll hook you up with the invite link. Also, make sure you follow Talo Cyber on our YouTube, LinkedIn, Threads, Blue Sky, TikTok. You know, we're all over the place. So um, again, thanks for watching. I hope this is helpful and catch you around next time. Thank you.